Hi guys, Chris here. So time's come to launch a needlessly large rocket. We're going to be going to the moon in one go with a massive space station, all in one rocket. We're also going to have a second rocket on top of our space station, which is going to then do a return mission back to Kerbin. So we just dropped away the first stage. That's just lots and lots of solid boosters all held together with struts. We've then got a second stage, which is one booster with 6 other boosters around it. Then we do an orbital burn. The orbital stage has 8 rockets, all liquid fuel, and these are just going to get us up into orbit. So on board, I've only got one Kerbal, despite the fact it's got capacity for 8 Kerbals on board. So I need lots of Kerbal capacity for the contract, but I've only got one on board. The one I have on board is a scientist. You notice I've still got SAS active despite the fact that I don't have a pilot on board. And this is because I've also got a probe core on board. The reason I've got a probe core is so I not only have SAS, but I can also remotely activate my space base. And it doesn't disappear after I leave it, despite the fact it doesn't have a crew on board. So normally if you don't have a crew on board, your items are going to disappear after a short amount of time. So while we're on the moon, we're going to be doing a recovery mission of a Kerbal that's stranded there. That's for a contract. And then we're going to try to use one of these new scientific research labs. So we've just done our orbital burn, and we're now moving out towards the moon. Just correcting to make sure I land nice and close to the moon. Just gotta finesse it to the right direction. Okay, so we're approaching the sphere of influence. There we are. So we see that the lander module that I'm trying to interact with, the one with the guy I've got to rescue, is near the polar region. So I'm adjusting my course, so I'm going to get a polar orbit around the moon. And it's best to do this nice and early. The earlier you do these things, the less fuel it uses. So there you go, that's fairly close. A bit more maybe. So I'm burning around for a polar orbit. There goes my booster stage. So obviously I had too much fuel on there. Right, so I'm approaching the periapsis. So this is going to bring me down to an orbit. So I want a nice low orbit. There we go. I'm just making adjustments so that I'm going to go directly overhead of that little lander I'm making the recovery on. There we go. So this Kerbal I'm going to recover is actually on the boundary between day and night on the moon. And while the moon doesn't have a day-night cycle as such, it does have a little wobble, which means it does have a day-night cycle right on this little boundary. So I am actually going to have a day-night cycle despite the fact I'm on the moon. Here we go, just make a tiny little adjustment again, just to make sure I go right overhead of the target. There we go. Alright, I've just missed it. So I've overshot it, so I'm just going to go all the way around for a second lap. Just going to get the burn time right. There we go. So now I'm going to make my deceleration burn. Just leave it a little bit so I travel overhead of the target. Bring it down. Lots of retrograde. So I'm burning at the horizon rather than just doing pure retrograde. And this means it's just going to keep going down whilst my course becomes more and more vertical. So there you go. So I'm just making the last landing now. So I'm killing off the last of this movement, trying to find a flat amount of space. Oh, that's not flat enough. So let's move over there. See, there's a flatter space just over here. This rocket's quite top heavy, so if I don't land on a flat bit, it's just going to fall over. There we go, there's a nice flat spot. There. So in the distance is the Kerbal we've got to recover. We're not quite close enough that we can switch over to her. It is actually her, while the new girls from 1.0. I'll activate these solar panels, so we should have lots of power. And let's go for my spacewalk. Now obviously you can use thrusters here. And just plant my flag. Dun, dun, dun. Like, write a little message. Jump for joy. Now let's run over and see if we can get close enough to switch over to the other Kerbal. Now obviously you can run like this, but it does take a very long time. But thankfully your Kerbals all have a little jetpack. And if you use your mono propellant in your jetpack, you can travel a lot faster. See, it's taking forever just to walk like this. So let's activate a jetpack. You see that you can just... Right, so what you want to do is you want to get a little bit of forward momentum, not too much. And then you just want to use your up-down button with shift just to keep yourself above the ground. You don't want to go too high or you use extra fuel. You don't want to go too fast or you lose control. So I'm quite close. Oh, she seems to be mid-air. Yeah, that's a bit weird. It's a bit buggy, that. So let's land and oh, okay. If you hit shift too many times, it activates the emergency thing in Windows. Okay, she's floating in mid-air. That's nice. Okay, I just time accelerate it so she crashed into the ground. All right, there she is. Da da da. She can plant flag too, and that's perhaps that flag's back to front, but never mind. She could do lots of science data. Then what we're going to do, we're going to have to go, one goes closer to the ship, then I've switched to the other one and like bunny hop my way back so I don't go out of range of the other Kerbal. Because if you go to, or if I went all the way back with this one Kerbal, I wouldn't be able to switch back to the other one. So let's switch between them. Make sure they all have sights. And now I'm going to do this one, get this one closer to a spaceship. Then switch back to the first one. Just like bunny hop like this all the way back. There's our flag and our spaceship. Oh, landed a bit too quickly. Will she die? Hey, live. Had to win. This one's just skidding down a hill. Okay. And the easy boosters just slip over to the spaceship. So now we're going to have a play with the new science module thing. Once we get it back. Landing a bit comfortable the other time. There we go. So I'm going to go into the science module and try to get some science. The crew hatch and see if we can... Oh, fell off. Okay, really fell off. If we can land onto this ladder. There we go. Then we can board on. And see that you can load lots of science on board. We're going to switch over and get the other scientist in. They appear to both be scientists, so the one I recovered was a scientist as well. Oh no, it fell off. Up, up. Oh, hit shifty many times. There we go. Oh, I've done it again. Okay. So got on board. Let's do some science. We're going to send this data to our science station. Then we're going to do some research on the moon. So in the past, the science module didn't really do much. What it did was, if you wanted to transmit data, you get a little bonus. You get like 50% instead of 40% science when you transmit it back to Kerbal. Now, what it does is it loads data from your scientific data into the science module, and then if you've got a scientist on board, you can like research it. And the research is going to build up huge amounts of science over time. Now, over time, the amount of science you gain is going to gradually go down, whilst the amount of data you have from your science you picked up and transmitted to your science module, that's going to get used up as well. Saying that, if you manage to fill it with like 500 is limit of data, that's going to give a monumental amount of science. So if we time accelerate here, once we finish loading all the science on, then we're going to get a truly ridiculous amount of science from it. I think that's all of it. You see, we're very slowly gaining science now. It's also, the sun's beginning to set because we have a good day-night cycle here. Right, so I've transmitted all the data. I've loaded it all onto our thing. Oh, right, I just want to get another surface sample. Right, so you can see the science is building up fairly quickly. I've got quite a lot on board, and I'm going to start transmitting it. Obviously, I'll run out of power because I did it in the middle of the night. Oh, now we're going to load this Kerbal onto our launcher, if I can get it on board. No, come on. No. Okay, good. Get up, land on the lander, and get into the module. No, missed. Go on. Up, down, remember, in. There we go. So we've got loads of science on board. So if you do this, you're going to be getting, say, 1,000 units of science, maybe much more, which is going to all be transmitted Kerbal. It's all going to be waiting for you when you get back to the Space Center. Obviously, I'm time accelerating here. It happens very slow in real time. So you could go back to Space Center, leave your astronauts on the moon. Then, after a few more missions, maybe you've gone to Juna, maybe you've gone somewhere else, you can come back here and it'll be full of science. I'm not going to bother with that. I think that'd be a bit cheating. So I'm just going to do this while I'm here, then travel back. Yeah, see, you could be sat here, you can get like 2,000, 3,000 units of science, which is just ridiculous amounts. It's just going to make the game a bit too easy. Basically, it's going to cheat your way through later parts of the game. Right, so make sure I've got all the science I can. See, it's just getting huge amounts of science. Huge amounts. So it's definitely going to push me on to the next level. But I don't mind doing it once or twice. But if you did this constantly, it's just going to unlock all the science tree very, very quickly. And it's going to be a bit cheaty. So you can see the sun moving around. It's quite funky. Right, so let's move our... oh, no, it fell off. We can get another ground sample on there. Right, so let's move around to the door and use our jetpacks to get in. And then we're going to launch this return rocket we have on top. Oh, I've hit shift too many times. And fell down. No, I've hit shift too many. Okay, let's switch that function off permanently. Okay, so we're going to get up, enter our little return rocket. I'm going to unlock the... oh, okay, deactivate the engine. So I'm going to throttle up. And there we go. So we've taken off. We've got no SAS module on this, so I'm having to spin around to make sure I maintain a constant direction. So get the apoapsis and make a nice simple burn into orbit around the moon. Then we're going to start going home. So going to make a burn at the periapsis. Okay, we'll test the apoapsis as well. See which one gives us the closest route. Then we make our burn. Just going to take us nice and close to Kerbal. That's good enough. Now we're going to time accelerate after getting some EVA science. You always need a little bit more science. And we're going to do retrograde burn and end up nice and close to the planet. So spinning up again to give us lots of angular momentum so we don't drift while we're doing the burn. I'm going to do another maneuver into nice orbit around the planet. I'm just going to go around a few times. I'm doing this so that I'm going to end up close to the launch center. So you can see the Africa-like continent just going round now. So it's going to be close to where I land, so I'm going to make my deceleration. And there's our lander module separated. So hopefully I'm going to be bottom heavy, so the heat shield is naturally facing the direction of travel. And hopefully we're going to make it down to the planet. Yeah, there we go. The parachute's deployed, and we're going to land after a successful moon mission, a successful moon recovery mission at that, and we're going to have tons and tons of science from that moon base.